We are in Warsaw near the Narodowy Stadium, which was built especially for the European Championship. Poland and Ukraine jointly hosted this great event in 2012. Today we will talk about the legendary San Siro Stadium in Milan. Not long ago, Boomerang, the official regional partner of AC Milan, hosted its flagship events, the Golden Boomerang Awards, at this location. This global affiliate tournament brought together over 400 teams from all around the world, and the winners, they received their trophies from the hands of none other than AC Milan legend Andrea Pirlo. Our team had the honor of attending this event, and what we saw wasn't just an awards show, it was a statement, a celebration of ambition, trust, credibility and Boomerang's real commitment to building a global affiliate community. But beyond big names and iconic venues, Boomerang delivers where it matters. Operating in 40+ geos, they offer exclusive in-house brands, cutting-edge analytics and full flexibility across PPC, SEO and social traffic. And if you ever get the chance to take part in their next Golden Boomerang Awards, don't think twice, it's an experience you won't forget. Let's grow together! Pick Ads and Boomerang Partners. In the world of SEO, there are two games being played. In one, you follow Google rules and to the letter, building brand and authority in sensitive niches like finance and iGaming. In the other, you move fast, test aggressively, and push the boundaries to dominate less governed spaces. But where does these two worlds overlap? And where do they violently diverge? Today, we are cutting through the usual "it depends" fluff to get real answers. We are joined by a man who has spent nearly 2 decades in the trenches of digital marketing, building, testing, and ranking sites across the spectrum. He is a straight-talking SEO consultant, trainer, and a regular speaker at top conferences like Sigma and Affiliate World. Welcome to the show, Craig. Could you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so my name's Craig. I am based in the UK, and like you kindly said, I've been in this industry for over 2 decades, so I'm a bit of an old dinosaur when it comes to digital marketing. I got in early, very early, and I'm still surviving and making money. And over the years, I've been a freelancer, learning my trade. I went on to build up a successful agency. Then I pivoted towards affiliate marketing and doing YouTube and doing education and everything else, because agency life was just not for me personally. I didn't like working with clients in particular, and yeah, I'm still hanging on in there and still making money. And you find your place in the industry, and working in iGaming and things like that are always what I've enjoyed. I've always enjoyed the competitive, darker side of SEO, if you want to call it that, and not just wholly relying on content heavy websites and things like that. You want to test yourself against the best, and like you will know, in the iGaming space, the strategies and the way that people do things are maybe a bit unorthodox is the right wording to use, and I thoroughly enjoy seeing that and competing against it.
Such a massive intro. Thank you for that. By the way, you have a nice t-shirt. Is it from Boomerang Partners, from the award?
Yes.
Great choice. Great choice. Mine is on the way. Yeah. Super. Congratulations. So, Craig, it's great to have you on air. We are both builders who believe in results over theory. My background in launching and scaling ventures in heavily regulated spaces like Forex and iGaming, where one wrong move can get you penalized. I know you've worked on everything from local businesses to high volume affiliate sites. This is going to be a fascinating conversation. So, which markets are regulated and unregulated in SEO? That's going to be our first topic, and that's going to be the general topic of this podcast. So, let's start with the description of what is regulated market and unregulated, and maybe provide some examples. What's your opinion about it?
I mean, obviously in iGaming, there's slightly different connotations for regulated and unregulated. Now, let's say you're a casino, you may work in a country where gambling is illegal, and you've got the governing bodies and everything else not allowing you to actively promote what you do. So you've got that, but on the flip side of that, you've also got people who don't have the right licenses and things like that as well. So again, you're going to get caught. But although gambling is legal in that country, you're not. And again, you've got to there's so many different things that could mess you up here, whether that be a governing body and Meta and everyone else going after you because you can't advertise this, that, and the next thing, to actually just not having the right licenses and people coming for you as well. So there's a lot of different things out there, and with gambling, it is heavily regulated. And if you want to be a legitimate online casino, there's a lot of licenses and a lot of hoops and paperwork and legal stuff that you've got to jump through. And obviously the certainly in the UK, the governments don't like people gambling. You've got to make people aware of the downside of gambling and all of this kind of crap. And like I say, it's highly illegal in certain countries as well. And we somehow have to do our marketing around those regulations, and that's where it becomes really difficult, especially if Meta, for example, and various other things do not allow you to promote gambling. That's when you have to think, well, I know there's traffic on Meta, and somehow I have to get that traffic from Meta onto my website without saying this is what it is. And that's where people talk about black hat Meta ads and hooking them in with something else and then redirect them over to something else. And that is essentially the game we've got to play. And that's what people ask me this question all the time, and they think that you can just do what you want anyway in the internet, and you can't. You just can't. That one example, from Meta ads and stuff like that. Yeah, there's traffic, but I can't just go on there and say, come and fucking deposit some money here. It's not allowed. So how can I grab those people and shove them over to the main website? And that's where, like I say, creative thinking and thinking outside the box and understanding the mechanics of redirects and all this kind of stuff is super important, and it's quite technical as well. So you've got to be creative and technical when you're working in the unregulated space.
Yeah, good answer. And what about particular markets? If we consider, for example, high regulated markets like the UK market, like many countries in Europe, in European Union, they officially already regulated by the government. But are there still opportunities like markets with no regulations? For example, I would say gray hat markets or something like that, like Brazil about several years ago, it wasn't regulated totally. Like upcoming Finland regulation, they have monopoly there. But still, if you go to us gamblers, there are gonna be 2,000 casinos with Finnish language in it. So what are those markets? Their regulations are not so strong, so strict, or we don't have regulations there? Do you have any examples to share?
Not in particular. We typically work in Southeast Asia. Is where somehow we get dragged into the ones that are really illegal, or it's in the kind of highly regulated markets. US is another one where I've done a lot of work. I've never really done a lot in the Finnish market or various markets like that, believe it or not. It's either one or the other that I personally get dragged into. So I don't have any specific examples of where there's a great opportunity. And you know what? It's a really good question, because I often, as an affiliate, as an SEO, say to people, there is so much fucking opportunity out there that you don't have to obsess over the US or the UK. There's like a lot less competition in European markets, for example, just from an SEO perspective. For example, like, I don't know, Italy, and things like that, where Google's algorithm is like from 10 years ago, because different versions of Google have different levels of it's just not as aggressive, that, let's just say that, but also different levels of competition, where the SEO is 10 times less competitive, and I always look for opportunities like that in normal SEO. But in the iGaming space, I get dragged into, like I say, Southeast Asia is a very, very common one, and I don't know why that is, but I keep getting my ass dragged into those ones. So yeah, I couldn't tell you the regulations or where there's amazing opportunity, like you mentioned, Finland and stuff like that, because that's just not where I get dragged into, unfortunately.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Southeast Asia, it's highly regulated markets for sure. For example, in Indonesia, it's even not allowed to play, not to run websites or to run casino operators. It's not allowed to play even there. So take care with your projects. Be safe. And for those looking at new opportunities on SEO markets, check our channel for more countries. We have regular podcasts about country reviews. We are now going into African markets. Check it. There are a lot of opportunities for SEO. Still, I believe there is a lot of space because it's kind of new market still. And if you compare it to the US profitability or to even Southeast Asia profitability, it's lower for sure. But it's growing and there are more opportunities right now. So let's talk about techniques which works both for regulated markets and unregulated markets. Is there any difference? And if so, what is this difference and what works for both of those markets?
I think, SEO in general, in the iGaming space, is a lot about links are still a big important part of it, and obviously you've always got your content, your links, and everything else. Something that I see less common that people are now starting to talk about is the kind of viral traffic side of things. Now, people in the iGaming space will understand what that means. For normal SEOs, we would call that click-through rate manipulation. I firmly believe that in years gone past, content and links have always been the kind of two main parts of SEO. I do firmly believe that traffic is massive, and the weight towards that is insane. So what we typically see is someone, let's say, stuck at the bottom end of page one. You do some viral traffic towards that, and you will very quickly start to see that climb. Now, of course, if you switch off the traffic, you will dip back down. The job is to try and push your website as hard as you can from all other standpoints, on page and everything else, and then add the viral traffic to it. So viral traffic works in either or market. However, some of the techniques, like you say, we work in certain countries where we have a very short window in order to rank well. So we can't, take time to build a nice brand and, do PR and do all of this kind of stuff. So techniques that work very, very well would be, we would typically use a lot of age domains, which still work very well. Again, taking advantage of the power and authority that someone else has built. We would then implement an aggressive content strategy, and as well as virality, to get quick results. Now, from there, like you say, in certain countries, it's you've got the government and everything else coming after you, because you're not supposed to gamble in certain places. And what we have to do is do this strategy, but do it with 10 websites, for example. Now, we know that the websites are not going to last long, and then we have to redirect onto a new website. And it's like an ecosystem of age domains, websites, redirects, trying to get that traffic, because there's countless examples of these websites get up, but they do get caught up with, and they plummet. And like I say, you then have to implement redirects, and it's just a kind of probably a very spammy approach to things. And you're looking for quick results, and then you have to move. And that still works very, very well as well, the age domains and everything else. But like I say, you've got your secret sauce in there, with other things, redirects, virality, and things like that. These are all working very, very well just now. And that doesn't matter whether you are trying to rank well in the US market or the Indonesian market or whatever. Those techniques still work very, very well, and you've just got to be pretty aggressive with it. I do want to make one thing clear, because anytime I suggest viral traffic, people then come to me saying, what are you using? Is it CTR Booster or something like that? It's not. I'm not going to obviously give away the secret sauce, but if you want to rank for something like online casino, 10 or 15 or 20 extra hits per month may work in a very local market. It has to be a lot more aggressive, because if a search term is getting 500,000 hits per month and you're only sending a couple of hundred hits per month at it, it's not going to make a difference. And obviously Google are looking at IP addresses. Google are not as dumb as they once were. So there is a sizable cost to that as well, because you've got to use local proxies and everything else to make sure that works. And a lot of people think, I'll go and use this software there or something like that. It's a little bit more complex than that. But like I say, that works very, very well for, I'm not saying that's all you have to do. I'm making it sound very, very easy. It's not quite as easy as that, but in a nutshell, that kind of strategy works very, very well.
Super. When you know the secret sauce, it's simple. So if we talk about the content of those websites, is it like one page website or content websites with 30 pages or more? What is the strategy if we talk about the content?
It's certainly not one page websites. We do not deploy one page websites. I think at the moment, based on Google's updates over the last few years, you have to have a bit more substance than a one-page website. Certain countries you can, but for the majority, no. You've got to go out there and create authority pages. You've got to go out there and hit it with some substance. That's the frustrating part. Well, it's not frustrating. It's frustrating for some people because it used to be the case where you could crank out, crap little websites and do things. It's not quite as easy as that anymore. And you have to put a little bit more time, effort, and strategy behind it. And I think your content strategy has to do that as well. And like I say, we deploy things quite aggressively, and even for here and now, I need to be careful in what I say. I don't want to give too much away. What we find working really well at the moment is aged subdomains. Now we have examples of, we can buy an e-com store. It doesn't matter what it is, by the way. It can be anything. We can buy that and then put on a subdomain, whatever dot the domain name. Now, what we're taking advantage of there is a domain name that's aged, a domain name that's got a lot of authority and everything else, and we're making that section of it all about casino, lottery, whatever it may be. Don't ask me why that works very, very well, because it's not even topically relevant to things either. But we are always looking at what moves the needle, and subdomains and everything are working now. It's not just the fact that it's a subdomain. When we're looking at these domain names, they have GMBs. They've had a lot of branded search in the past. They've got amazing backlinks. They have all of the kind of Google trust signals that are in place. Like I say, they've got Google My Business listings. They've got all their citations. They've done all of the groundwork to build those Google trust signals. So they're trusted. And I believe that part is why that works so well. And we actually, have an R&D team who test what works, and it's beggars belief. I know it sounds like beggars belief, but I am the CMO at Odys Global. We sell age domains. Of course, we're going to see different trends and everything else, and we're always looking at different trends that are working. And like I say, that one is working a treat right now. For how long, I don't know, but again, when we talk about deploying content and stuff like that, you can deploy content, but it has to be on something that's already trusted, that ticks all of those boxes. Otherwise, you're going to have to go and build those trust signals yourself, and that is where it takes time, more money, more effort. So, like you say, guys like us, we're always testing different things, and we want to take advantage of any kind of loopholes or ways that we can cut through the shit and get there faster. And that, for the here and now, is absolutely working well.
Super amazing. And am I right that you mentioned that it doesn't matter what is the topic, what is the subject, what's on this age domain before, like e-commerce or any health blog or anything else, like any kind of website, correct? So if so, when we talk about the content, you mentioned casinos, lotteries, sounds like review websites, review pages of different casinos. Do you add there anything else, like pages about particular bonuses, or pages about particular payment methods, or pages about some offline casinos maybe which are located there?
Yeah.
Do you add anything else in part of content?
We add everything and anything that we feel is relevant. Like any SEO campaign, you can add the main monetary terms, but you want to add more, and the more you add, the better. Whether that be payment things or whatever, because people out there are searching for everything and anything, and some of that stuff will obviously rank a lot easier. And it's all about going after as much as quickly as you possibly can. So we always try. I mean, obviously we deploy these websites on a regular basis, so we kind of know the kind of content strategy and the type of keywords that we want to go after anyway. So it's like a templated system, if you like, where we just know it's going to have to be X, Y, or Z amount of pages to begin with, and you know, we deploy that, and then we'll come back in and drip feed some more on. And I think the job is always to build out as much as you humanly can. And I think, you know, with the advancement of tools and AI, with the assisted AI, I'm not suggesting that we just crank out AI content. It's definitely not. As much as I'd love that to work, AI content also gets caught very, very quickly. But you know, AI assisted content and everything else means that we can deploy things a lot more quickly, a lot more aggressively, and a lot more cost efficient as well. You know, we don't need to have 100 content writers cranking this stuff out all day, every day. So again, yeah, we would go after everything and anything. And it's, like I say, the same as any SEO campaign. Yes, you could argue that that's your 10 money keywords, and that's all you're going to have to deploy. You know, there's a lot of other traffic for a lot of long tail stuff out there as well. Why wouldn't you grab that as well? And that's my own methodology there. You know, I get it. You know, a lot of 80% of the traffic for anyone's website comes from about 20% of the pages. There's always that 80-20 rule. And a lot of people will argue that you don't need to deploy all of these pages. But if you already know the type of keywords in the pages that you do need to deploy, then, like I say, more of it is what you always want to do. But like I say, Google doesn't always reward you with indexing. You know, it's not guaranteed. So you have to then go back in and tweak, because what worked for one website in one country that worked really well doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work in the next one or the next website. Sometimes Google just fucking hate a domain name, or they hate the content, you know, for whatever reason. So you need to go back in and tweak that as well. And it's a pain in the ass.
Exactly, and as far as I know, Google update its algorithms not like in the whole world in the same time. They update tier 1 countries like US, then the UK, then Europe, and Southeast Asia, where you work. I guess it's gonna be a much later. And if we talk about content, that's clear. About topics. When we talk about keywords, coming back to our main topic, regulated and unregulated markets, what I see, for example, in Netherlands, KSA, their local regulator, they even clean the Google search from the word online casino. You will see no offshore brands. There are only licensed brands for the keyword online casinos, which was like the general keyword, and the main interest for all the webmasters was in this keyword. But still, you can work with low intent keywords like best bonuses or no deposit bonuses or payment methods and so on. Traffic will be lower, but you still can compete there. And if we talk about South Asia, are there any limitations like that, or do you see any other differences besides this online casino keyword in the search?
No, not really. It's a free for all in Southeast Asia, you know. But we typically go after. I wouldn't spend the time in those countries trying to get something like online casino. Like you say, there's different variations or different keywords, no deposit casino and all of this kind of stuff, bonus related keywords, and things like that we would go after. Again, we just don't have the time to go after something like online casino because we know we're going to get caught. So it wouldn't even be something that, you know, we would spend too much time trying to achieve, because you know that, yes, if you're a licensed casino in the US or whatever, you do have time. You know, you've got 20 or 30 years of business life to go after some of that stuff. But like most of the websites we deploy, they are kind of, I mean, we try our best to go after tier 1 keywords, if you like, but a lot of them are slightly less competitive, just because it's churn and burn, and we need it quick. We need traffic quickly, but we don't care what we go after. To be honest, you know, when you work in some of these countries, what you're doing is fucking illegal anyway, and it's just a free for all. Just do what you're doing. It's fucking illegal. Boom, do it, and then move, and don't get caught. So you know, there's no time to dick around going, oh, that keyword there is really nasty. They're all fucking dodgy. You know, they're all illegal. Is is the point, and that I'm trying to make. So you know, we couldn't give a shit if Google frown upon one, or you know, go through that and look at things like you say in various other countries where they don't want offshore companies coming in and taking money from their country or whatever. That's fine for areas like, you know, the Netherlands and vice versa. But elsewhere, it's a fucking free for all. It's piling in. It's first come, first serve. It's who can get their head above for whatever keyword they can, take all of that traffic, and then move.
Super. Thank you for sharing. And if we talk about link building, you already mentioned you do cross link building between your websites. You use edge domains. Is there any difference if you work with regulated markets and with unregulated markets? For example, on regulated markets, it's better to take links from iGaming websites or gaming websites or press releases in industry media. And on unregulated markets or black hat markets, you don't care what to take, even dumped websites from page 1, from the homepage, I mean. Are there any difference in strategies?
To be honest, no. I don't know why, and again, it's just my personal belief. I think a link is a link as far as iGaming full stop is concerned. I remember, I always tell this story. I was out with a friend, and he used to always buy domain names and build PBNs out on them. And I put him in touch with this guy who was a drop catcher, and the guy had like 114 really good domain names. And there was like builders on there. There was fucking, I don't know, plastic surgeons. There was a few casino related ones. And my mate's like, yeah, I'll just take the whole lot of them. And I'm like, fuck, you know, what are you doing? And he's like, you know, I don't give a fuck. You know, I'm just going to take any old link. Now, the reason a lot of people will come back, you know, from the SEO community and say, no, links have to be topically relevant. Links have to be from other casinos. Links have, you know, it has to have some form of topical relevance. Yes, that is right in a lot of cases in SEO. I don't believe that's right in the casino space. I just don't. I think the gloves are off. You know, I don't know why Google would change it from niche to niche or whatever it may be. But as far as I'm concerned, links are really, really hard to get for gambling anyway. Now, what we face is we can get a totally, you know, semi-relevant website, but they're not going to link to us. You know, they want too much money, or the webmaster on there said it's fucking haram and he's not going to do it because he doesn't like gambling personally. You face so many problems when trying to get links in the iGaming space that you just have to grab what you fucking can. Now, absolutely, you know, if I'm working for a nice, big, clean, legalized casino, I would want to build a brand. I would want to build as much topical relevance as I possibly can. I believe I've got opportunities to be able to do that. But you are still going to be limited to what you can get. And like I say, in the casino space, I think the gloves are off and stuff like that. You know, you've got limited inventory, full stop. And whilst you're, and if you look at your competition and you go, fuck, that guy's got this, this, and this, you're sitting there going, well, I need this, this, and this, because he's clearly ranking well for it. So you've got to replicate what works. And, you know, if you look at any SERP for iGaming, some of the links in there are complete and utter dog shit. You know, they're really not relevant at all, and that's just the way it goes. And like I say, if Google are rewarding that, you know, even when I go back to deploying PBNs, if you like, on subdomains of a food website, it's beggars belief to me that Google would allow that to rank. It really is. You know, I find that really hard to get my head around, but they're allowing it, and that's just the way it goes. And like I say, topically relevant for most other industries, I would absolutely say yes. But you know, if I'm coming up against you, Vasily, I know that you're not just going to be getting topically relevant websites. You know, you're going to be doing every dirty trick and getting everything you can get your deposit, not your deposit, your budget on. And you know, if that's a nice DR80 that's loosely relevant or whatever, then I'm pretty sure you're going to deploy that, and I've got to match it. So
exactly, you need to use something that works, and who cares about the topic at this stage. We talk also, you mentioned you kind of using AI a little bit within your projects. You know for sure that Google AI overviews is on the way. It's already in tier 1, it's already in Europe. What about Southeast Asia? Do you have it there already? This is the first question. And if so, do you do any optimization for those AI search queries? Not only Google, but also ChatGPT, AI Studio, DeepSeek, whatever. Do you believe in this optimization? And if so, does it work for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so prominent in some of the markets, like you say. Southeast Asia and stuff get everything a lot later. You know, AI Overview came out in America first, then it kind of rolled out across towards the UK and Europe in recent times. It's not that big out there at the moment. However, to answer your question, you know, there's statistically with AI Overview searches, the organic positions are losing traffic to that. Absolutely, they fucking are. Now, does it make any sense to try and optimize for AI Overview and things like that? Yes, it does. You know, you'll see the sources cited. There is still traffic to be had there, and also just the brand awareness that you can have from being in that prominent position is vital. And I think, you know, a lot of people are now starting to realize that, you know, you've got to optimize for this. We are SEOs. We don't control what Google do and what they're going to position, you know, higher up on that. And a lot of people say SEO's dead and traffic, you know, is getting lost. And yeah, it is. However, for me, if there's traffic to be had from being in that AI Overview, I want some of it. It's the same as doing parasite SEO or whatever as well. You know, don't just rely on Google Organic. You know, if I can put up a Reddit post, if I can put up a LinkedIn Pulse article or whatever it may be to get traffic, I'm going to absolutely do it. I'm also going to take traffic from YouTube. I'm going to take traffic from Pinterest, anywhere else I can get traffic from. I fucking want that traffic. So I think you now have to think of it that way. And going back to AI Overview, there's traffic to be had there. How do you optimize for it? You ask. In the past, as SEOs, we've always felt like putting articles on our own website is the best way to rank for something. If you want in the Google AI Overview, it's putting your shit on trusted other websites. So, you know, we do a lot of fucking about on AI Overview stuff, and you can see the sources. So again, Vasily, if you're sitting there with an AI Overview and I see some bullshit article on Business Insider telling me, you know, that's what you've got, then I need to match that. I need to get a website that's equally as powerful as Business Insider, if not more powerful, or even I'll go after Business Insider itself and I'll write a better article than you, better optimized, better everything. And I'm going to take that fucking AI overview away from you. That's my job. But, you know, feeding the LLMs, ChatGPT and everything else is something that a lot of people are playing around with, you know, and even I done a presentation last week on it. You know, it's very, very easy to feed the LLMs just now with your stuff. And I think for the here and now, you've got to ram everything you fucking can through that. And like I say, the biggest thing I can advise you is being on trusted other websites. You know, even LLMs, you know, putting stuff out there on LinkedIn and everything else. It's not good. It's not good enough just to say Vasily's the best SEO in the world on one website. You need 100 websites, or not 100, but you need multiple websites to be saying the exact same thing. Multiple trusted sources saying that Vasily's the main man, Vasily's the main man, Vasily's the main man, and it will start to then the LLMs will pick up on it. So it's also about citing that statement or that keyword and saying it across multiple trusted other websites. It's not enough just to do one, because yes, when we look at ChatGPT or anything, we can see the sources, but it has to be said across multiple other things. And that's where like press releases and things like that work very, very well. So I can do things like Craig is the best black hat SEO in the world, or Craig won this award, or Craig won that award. Do a press release on it, and you know, it will go across Yahoo Finance and all of this kind of stuff, and it will pop in the AI overview like that. So it's very, very easy to do. But like everyone is trying to do is, you know, feed the LLMs as much good, positive information on you, your business, your brand, the informational queries, and all of the kind of other stuff that's going to come out there. And yes, it's frustrating because you're not going to get as much traffic as you once did from being position one in the organic SERP, because not everyone, some people just read the information and move on. You know, you're not getting as many clicks, but you've got to take advantage of this for the here and now, because it's really fucking easy to do it. And like I say, being on those trusted third-party websites is the key now, not pumping your own website full of these amazing things about yourself. Put it on other people's websites is the key to getting those.
Super. So you mean that's so easy? You just need to have multiple websites, let's say up to 100 or at least 20, 30 websites telling the same, like you are the top sales specialist, or you have the top casino rating, or whatever you have. I've heard also that schema markup is important, basic SEO is important. I mean, downloading speed, I mean, content structure, I mean, backlinks, and so on. I've heard also that per-site SEO, old new per-site SEO, which is very important right now, because if you have a Reddit, if you have a Quora, Medium, and so on, threads, it gonna works for you. I've heard EAT is very important also, so there should be a page about you or your product or your review website in social media, and in many social media, not only Facebook or Instagram, but also Pinterest. I've seen even something like playlists on Spotify with the name of the brand or with the name of the person. Is it worse to do all of this stuff, or is it works just with many websites mentions the same thing?
For the here and now, it just works with many websites. You know what you're saying about EAT and everything else, I would absolutely say long term that is probably going to have to be the way it works. But for the here and now, you pinch yourself going, that's fucking unbelievable. That, you know, they're just swallowing this. So I have got countless amount of tests of websites that don't, or people even personas that have ranked well on LLMs that don't have what you say. They don't have a social media presence. They don't have a Spotify account with their name in it. They don't have all of the things that you said, and I can still get them in the LLMs like that. However, what I will say is I don't know how long that is going to be the case. I do believe that they will have to look at schema. They will have to look at EAT. They will have to look at all of this stuff. So I would agree with what you say. I think that would be a wise thing to do. Absolutely. But is that required right now? No.
Amazing, because I've had a lot of talks with specialists who mentioned this is the only way to show up in AI search, and you mentioned like the very basic thing which still works. That's amazing. I definitely gonna try this approach also. And to sum up our beautiful talk about regulated and unregulated markets, SEO, biggest SEO myth which you faced with.
God's SEO myth. I think there's a lot of them. Like you say, you know, people spread these fucking things out there. Here's the one. Here's one I'm going to give. Google have released stuff saying that they don't dislike AI content. They don't harm AI content. They will not go after AI content if it serves the purpose, the intent, and everything else. The biggest lot of shite I've ever heard. You know, I have tried and tested websites where you deploy what Google wants using AI, and you get so far, and they slap it so hard after month 4 or month 5, and you can never recover from it, that you cannot tell me that Google haven't come after that website for AI content. I find that beggars belief that Google release such stupid statements and people believe it. You know, Google, it's not even just Google. You know, people give out all of these kind of things without testing things, without actually knowing whether they're telling you the truth or not. And even like you just said there's a lot of people out there going, yeah, you have to do this, and this to get an AI overview. Bollocks. You know, I done a presentation last week on it, where I got a friend of mine into the AI overview. I changed his name. I was able to force a lot of stuff out. You know, and if you want to check, it's the name Casbula Dash. Now, we launched a Google book on this guy. His real name's Kazra. We nicknamed him Casbula. We were able to fucking switch everything out very, very quickly without the need for anything that you've said. You know, we launched a Google book. We've done this, we've done that, and we, you know, we had them on a few trusted sources, and it popped. Easy peasy. Just is that fucking easy, and you know, I've got countless amounts of examples, you know, of doing it. Like Craig Campbell won the best Black Hat SEO award or whatever is one we done the other month there. We were able to put that in the AI overview within an hour of doing that. So again, using the right websites and the right amount of times to say it was all we needed
You
to
just
do.
mentioned 1 hour?
Yeah,
Within
1
1
hour.
hour? Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So and you know, anyone who was at SEO spring training, you know, will be able to, but believe it or not, when I say we done that, it was actually a friend of mine who done it. So we were sat at the pool, and he said to me, Craig, I'm going to get you the AI overview for this term. And he said, I'll get it done within the hour. And I'm like, bullshit. So anyway, we carried on drinking and talking and all that stuff. And he came back with his laptop within the hour. And he's like, look, there you go. And I'm like, motherfucker. So obviously there was techniques behind that, force indexing and you know, doing things like that as well. But it can be that quick. I'm not suggesting that every single SERP can be dominated within an hour. Absolutely not. However, when I done a presentation last week on this, giving examples of this kind of stuff working, a guy came up to me and he's like, but that search term's not really that competitive. It's not about the search term at all. There's one position for in the AI overview, and it's not based on search volume. It is about whatever, and like I say, you can do things for casino, you can do things for someone's name, you can do things for whatever. We've even fucked around with the AI overview for celebrities and changing the narrative to see if we could switch things out, and you can still do it very quickly and very easily, as long as you're saying that shit on high authority trusted websites. It's fucking beggars belief. So yeah, just to re-emphasize that, it's scary for here and now of how easy it is to manipulate that stuff. And give me a second, I'm going to just check one other search term that we're trying to do just now. Best SEO conference in the UK. So the conference I was speaking at is a friend of mine, and we're trying to switch out the AI overview because Brighton SEO have it, and they've had it for many, many years. I was speaking at an event called the Masterminders, and we're trying to get that. It's not quite there yet on the AI overview, but it is. Can I share my screen on here?
I think so. Yeah.
Give me a second.
There is a button to share screen.
Where the hell is it? I'm not used to using this platform. Is that it there? Yeah, it's fine. I found it. So let me just go here. So best SEO conference in the UK. Now, obviously, the Masterminders is the event we're trying to get into the AI overview. We've managed to get into this. Now, it's a brand new event. We've not yet managed to take the AI overview. But the event here, it was only on last week. And we, like I say, it was only on at the end of June. And the job for us is we're going to try and take that AI overview as well for that. Now, what we're doing is feeding the LLMs to try and take that away from Brighton SEO. So, like I say, we're already in that part up at the top, sources across the web. So we're in the mix, but we need to make sure that we get enough of it said to be able to take it from Brighton SEO. So that is the game there, and it's something we're currently, working on to make sure that we take it. Now, obviously, for something like Brighton, there's a lot more instances of this is the best conference in the world. So when I was talking about search volume, that part's fucking irrelevant. What is relevant is the amount of times it's said across the internet on trusted other fucking websites. So when people say, how many times do we need to say that Vasili's the best SEO? If no one else is saying it, then you might only need to say it 5 times and you get the AI overview. But if the whole fucking world is saying it, then you're going to have to fucking get a similar volume. So it's a spam fest at that point. And that is how you're able to game that just now. It's not about the search volume. It's not about the backlinks. It's not about the DR. It's none of that stuff. It is about the amount of fucking times that it is said. Now, if we go out there on social media and keep saying that the Masterminders is the best conference and this and that, then absolutely it will pop. And give me a second, actually. I just want to check one other search term. Fucking hell. What was the search term we went after again? Best black SEO.
And is there a way to figure out how many mentions you should create with this topic to be in this AI overview? Like 5, 10, 20, 30. It depends on the geo. You can calculate it in advance, or you just go on making new articles, and one day you will appear there. So
Right.
what is the
So
strategy?
here's what I'm currently trying to do. I have someone that's got the same name as me, and he's an American singer. Now, if you go to ChatGPT and just ask about Craig Campbell, that guy's going to come up because he's the one that gets the most search. He's on all of these other websites, and my job is to make sure that I am the number one Craig Campbell. Now, when you're up against someone who naturally gets so much search, I am known in the fucking SEO space, which is, you know, a very, very small industry. This guy is actually a very famous singer. So for me, the number really depends. You know, for your name, for example, I would imagine you're able to pop it almost instantly. But you know, if you have someone with the same name or whatever, it comes down to sheer volume. So you're going to have to replicate. I'm not saying you have to get the same amount, but you're going to have to get substantially more to be out there, because not every citation, if you like, carries that much weight. But if the singer Craig Campbell is mentioned on 50 high profile websites, then I need to get 55, as far as I'm concerned, to get that to pop. So it's going to be different in different geos and everything else. But like I say, it really depends who you're up against. You know, if you're trying to take an AI overview away from a brand, for example, and this is where, you know, casino guys will be thinking like, could I brand jack that motherfucker's brand? I think you would have to spend a lot of money and a lot of to get those citations, or when I say citations, I mean instances on those other websites saying the same thing. You're going to have to get a lot more of them to be able to beat brands and people who have already got established reputations.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's quite a similar approach to link building. When you calculate the good links and you just trying to get more of those links, more than your competitor has. So it's the same, more citation that your competitors has, and it's gonna be awesome. Super, Greg, you wanted to show something else, yeah?
I was going to show you, I can't even remember the search term. Best SEO speaker UK. This fucking changes all the time. Motherfuckers. So let me share my screen again. I'm not able to show my own name. Wait a minute. I don't know what the fuck I've done here. Right, entire screen. So this is friends of mine. You know, trying to get the AI overview, and we've been fighting for it and fighting for it and fighting for it. Now, obviously, the AI overview, you've got James Dooley up here, who's a very good friend of mine. Now, what you'll see, we constantly, I used to be in there as well, believe it or not. But these guys are just fucking relentless, and they keep going and keep going and keep going and keep. And I'm like, fuck this. I don't really care about it that much. Now, if you go to any of these articles or citations, you know, Julian Goldie, for example, is talking about, you know, James Dooley, Kaz Dash, Cyrus Shepherd, Marie Haynes, Charles Flo, Lily Ray, and all of that kind of stuff. So again, they're getting instances of this said across so many other fucking websites, and you know, Dooley's got an article himself on his own website. There's stuff out there on Player Day. There's stuff out there on so many other different websites that it's insane. You know, to try and get after that search term, unless you want to, it's an ego search term, if you want to call it that. So every SEO under the sun is going after that. James Dooley has managed to achieve it because he's relentless and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And that, as I say, you can see that these guys keep going after it and keep going after it and keep going after it. So it's all about, you know, continuing to go after it. And if you can be bothered and the search terms worth it, then fine. The reason that I don't go after that one is because I don't really care whether I'm in there or not for that, because it's a vanity thing. For something like that, it doesn't make me any more money being up there for that. So that's why I kind of dropped out of the race after a period of time going after it. But you know, there is other people out there who absolutely want to continue to chase you know, search terms like that. And I think for me, you need to pick wisely in terms of the search terms that you actually go after, because otherwise all you're going to be doing is fighting in these searches and not making any money. So in case people go, oh, he gave an example, but it wasn't his fucking name, I ain't fucking playing anymore. You know, in that particular SERP. But like I say, it's very, very easy to do it. And you know, Big Dooley he's another guy in this industry who is just relentless in terms of trying and testing different things and just blows shit up and stuff like that, you know. And people always say, Craig, where do you guys learn? Where do you do this? You know, you've got friends in the industry who try shit, and you see them doing stuff and they're on the phone, they're telling, look at this. You know, so I think surrounding yourself with the right people who try and test things is where things go, you know, in terms of growing in these kind of spaces. And I'm fortunate enough to be friends with a lot of guys who do a lot of weird and wonderful stuff.
Amazing, great. Thank you for such a fantastic insights you shared with us today. So to summarize, generally speaking, it doesn't matter what techniques to use for regulated or unregulated markets. It's quite the same. To finalize it, for sure, if you want to act totally a white hat, you can use press releases, legal media, and so on. But you will hit the limit with those activities, and for sure your competitors will use all other techniques which we partially mentioned already. If we talk about markets, for sure there is more faster updates. If we talk about Google algorithms, if we talk about the US, the UK, the European Union. So if you want to try old SEO tactics, go to Southeast Asia, go to Africa, go to countries where Google updates will be slower, or they will not even appear on those markets. And for Google AI overviews, remember, it's all about citation. The more you have on trusted websites, the more chance you will get there in those answers on Google overview, AI overview, on ChatGPT, and so on. Thanks for laying it out so clearly. For everyone watching, if you want more of this direct actionable advice, you absolutely need to follow Craig. We will share a link to him in the description below, to his LinkedIn, to his website, craigcampbellseo.com, and he's highly active on LinkedIn, so don't forget to follow up. We have covered a lot of ground. Now we want to hear from you. Looking the current global map, what gray market do you believe holds the biggest SEO opportunity for iGaming as well head into 2025, and why? Let's get a strategic discussion going down below in the comments. And if you found this deep dive valuable to us, do us a favor and hit that like button, subscribe to PK's channel, and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the high-level conversations we have coming up. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Ciao.